Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we are in San Sequoia again and we're building a family home. And I've kind of low-key decided just to try and build on every lot in this world. I don't know if I'll actually finish or if I'll get distracted halfway through and then just kind of quit, but that's the goal right now anyway. So right now we're building on one of the weirdest lots in the world, in my opinion. It is a 40 by 20 lot, and I just feel like that is a bizarre lot size. I don't know if I'm the only one. And there may be another world that has that kind of lot size, but this is the first one I've ever seen that is just this long and skinny, and I feel like it's a really weird lot size. And it's one of them that comes originally empty. Well, it's not empty, it has a tree on it, but it's pretty much empty. And it's an empty lot, so I just wonder what the Sims team kind of intended this lot to be, or maybe if it's just like they ran out of space. I don't know how that stuff works, so it may just be something that happens naturally when they're building the world, like some of the lots are bigger or smaller than the others. But anyway, I do feel like that's a really weird lot size. You guys can let me know what you think. But when I saw it immediately, I thought, what am I going to put on a 40 by 20 lot? Like, that's really strange. And I kind of came up with a few different options. And I was thinking that a little park would be good here because I don't know if this is the right term, but I've heard people say this before. They're called pocket parks. And basically it's when you're in this little city area and you have this tiny little area of grass and stuff, but there's a little park on it. And there's not just a ton of stuff to do, but there's places to sit and there's usually a fountain or something like that. And so I thought this little area would make a good little pocket park because it kind of has a community feel about it because you have a little splash pad up in the corner. And then across the street you have the ocean. And I love this detail because they put the Sims team or whoever, I don't even know who I'm talking about, but they put these little debug live edit cars are kind of pulled off the road, off to like on the shoulder of the road. And it looks like they've went down to the beach maybe. I love that. I think that's so cute. And that's across from this lot. So it does have a really kind of community feel to it. So I had thought about doing a park and I had thought about doing a pool as well. I think a pool would look really good here. But I ended up seeing this picture on Pinterest and I thought if there is a house that would look good on this 40 by 20 lot, I feel like it's this house. So I'll go on and show you guys the picture that inspired this build so you can see what I was going for. But yeah, pretty much as soon as I saw it, I thought that is what I'm building there. And so this is how it turns out. So we pretty much have the shell of the house done right now. You guys can see it. It's very modern. And so maybe that doesn't really fit into the vibe of the world. But they gave us these really beautiful modern windows and I want to use them as much as possible. And so I'm just going to use them. It's fine. You don't really see a whole lot of houses around this one, so at least it kind of is standing alone in that respect, so it's not like you have a really suburban house right next to it, if that makes sense. But anyway, I didn't really like how this looked at first. As I was building the shell, I didn't really like it. I really wasn't feeling it. But when I got everything done and I got the decorations around it and stuff, I feel better about it. You guys let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you guys. But yeah, I felt a little bit better about it. I think I like the way it turns out. I did end up adding this little carport over to the side because I felt like it needed something because we still had a lot of empty space. And I'm okay with a good side yard. I don't mind that. But at the same time, I'm not great at having a lot of activities in the yard. I don't know why I need to get better at that, but sometimes I just completely go blank when I'm working on yard areas. And like I can have a grill and a picnic table and some gardening areas, and then I just kind of go blank and I have no idea what else to do. So I didn't want the yard to just be absolutely massive. To be honest, it's still quite big. You guys will see when we get over there, but I needed to add something else, so I ended up adding this carport in. And I feel like it helps with the house as well because it added a little contrast to just that one roof. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but I kind of tried to play with the roofs a little bit and try to add another one. And none of that was working. So I feel like the carport really does kind of help even this house out a little bit. But anyway, on this carport, I did add 2 of the little debug or live edit cars, whichever one. I think they're technically live edit, but hopefully you guys know what I mean. I'm probably always going to call that stuff debug. But anyway, I added those little cars and then I grabbed one of these new bikes from the Growing Together pack. And I wanted to make it look like maybe a kid had rode up and then they had just tossed it down on the ground. So I was going to use the tool mod to manipulate it. And I don't know if I just started out at the wrong angle or what was wrong with me, but I could not get that bike to fall over correctly. Like either way, there was something like way off about it. Like one wheel would be way too far up or whatever. And so it didn't look natural. So I ended up getting it to the point that it looks like it's kind of propped up on that rock. The wheel that's way too far off the ground, it looks like maybe they chunked it down, but it's laying on the rock. Or at least that's what I'm hoping it looks like. Hopefully that translated and you guys can see that. But anyway, it was really tricky for some reason, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just that object, or sometimes if you get started at a weird angle with tools, sometimes that can make everything more difficult, and I may have done that without realizing it. But I still think it turns out cute, and I added a couple more bikes that are just like regularly standing up and everything. And then we got this other little thing with I guess is with the Growing Together pack. I don't know, to be honest, I'm getting confused. With all the base game update stuff and the Growing Together pack, I'm kind of lost at what came when and from where. But there's this little bike, I don't know what it's called, but it's like this little bike repair kit thing. And so I added one of those up on top of one of the cars, and I thought that was cute. But yeah. Anyway, back to the house. So basically, as I was building this, I built the shell of the house, which is what I usually do. And then I've been trying to kind of come up with who I'm building the house for after I get done with the shell of the house, because it makes decorating the interior a little bit easier, and even the exterior a little bit, because you can see the front porch is kind of decorated. I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyway, I've been trying to do that. And if you guys have seen my videos before, you probably know that I don't really do like cast. I don't make Sims a lot. I'm not good at it, and I don't use CC or anything like that, and so I just don't really do it. So I don't make Sims for these houses, and I don't think I have to tell you guys this, but anything that I'm saying, like if you want to download this house, you don't have to play it this way or have these kind of Sims. You can do whatever you want with it. It doesn't bother me at all, but it just helps decorating. So in my mind, I was building this for some grandparents who maybe keep their grandkids a lot, or maybe they have some of their grandkids living with them. But either way, it's that's what I was building it for. That's kind of what I had in mind. So I added that little baby play mat up on the front porch, but I also added some rocking chairs and a chess table, which the chess table really isn't just because this is for grandparents, because I feel like the chess table comes in handy for pretty much any Sims when they're in like certain careers. They always need logic skill and stuff like that. But anyway, for the yard area, I did include a little bit of gardening stuff. And so in my mind, one of the Sims likes to garden. So I included a few garden planters and stuff. And then I'm going to add in a little swing set, and then some of the kids like play equipment and stuff. And then I also included a little sandbox. I was going to say sand pit for a minute. That sounds kind of scary. But yeah, I included a little sandbox. At least I think it's going to work. I haven't actually play tested this house. I'm really behind on playtesting. I actually haven't playtested the last 2 houses that I've built, so I really need to get to that, but I'm really hoping it'll work. So I grabbed this base game fence, and then I grabbed this little sand terrain paint, and I added it into this little box, and it looks like a sand box. But I'm not 100% sure that I'm not going to have to delete a little bit of the fence, but I don't think I am, because one of the last houses that I did playtest, I had this fence going around the walkway, and Johnny Zest just walked right over it. So I don't think that's going to be a problem, but I do have to check it, and I'll fix it before I upload it to the gallery. I try really hard to make sure everything's as functional as possible before I upload it, so I will check on that. But I thought it was really cute. I don't think I've ever actually included a sandbox before in any of my builds, but I kind of love it. I think it's really cute, and yeah, hopefully it works. But anyway, onto the backyard. So I wanted to use some of this new splash pad stuff because I'm so excited about it. And I know it's not super realistic to be in a family home, or a small family home at least. Maybe it would be like a really massive family home with a pool or something. It would make more sense. But it's The Sims. It doesn't have to make sense. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that. And so I really wanted to include it. So I ended up making this little puddle with the terrain tools. I kind of pushed the ground down and then added water and made this little puddle. And I placed some of the splash pad stuff around it. And I placed one of the little toddler slides as well. And I'm not sure that that's going to work. I got to kind of play around with that area because I'm not sure if any of that's functional. But I'm going to figure out some way to include a little splash pad area back there. So even if it's not functional, I'll figure out something to do to include some of that. But I'm hoping it will be functional because the Sims can usually wade through puddles and stuff. And so hopefully the kids can play back there, and maybe it's shallow enough that it'll work. But we'll figure it out. I'm really wanting to build a rec center soon, and I want to have a splash pad, like a full out splash pad when I build the rec center. And so I'm just really excited about using that stuff, and I couldn't wait anymore. My other houses haven't had that in it, and so I just went with it. So hopefully it'll be functional, but I do still have to check it out. And then this little area is a tiny little nursery, and I know that grandparents don't have to have a nursery, but if they're keeping the baby a lot, then it would definitely help. And it's pretty small, and so yeah, I just really wanted to include it. I haven't built a nursery. I guess I have technically, but I haven't really liked any of the ones I've built. This has been my favorite so far. I kind of like the way this one turned out. I think the key for me is to have it be a little bit smaller because there's not a whole lot of decorations that you can add for the nursery. Like as your kids get older, you have a few more options, but I feel like when it comes to the nursery, there's not just a whole lot of options if you're going for a really cluttered space, which I was going for this house. But anyway, I do really like the way this one turned out. And I got the changing table, but I ended up placing the little diaper trash can thing. I know that it snaps onto the changing table, but I felt like that corner was getting really cramped. So I ended up moving the little diaper trash can over by the door, and I'm really hoping that it still works because I've seen a couple people say that if you don't have a trash can in the room, that your Sims just chunk the diapers, I guess, in the floor. And I'm really hoping that it will still be functional if it's not attached to the diaper changing table. And if you guys know, let me know if you don't mind, because I'm not 100% sure. And you know, when I play test, I don't always like having to add kids to the household, because usually when I play test with Johnny Zest, and I might have one other Sim. But so for this house, I'll have to add like an infant and a baby and stuff like that. But anyway, if you guys know the answer to that, let me know if you don't mind. But I'm hoping it'll still work. But for this house, anyway, back to the house, it has 3 bedrooms. And so there's one main bedroom, which I kind of had in mind for the grandparents. And then there's the little nursery you guys saw. There's only one bathroom, which is right here. And then there's a last bedroom, which I was kind of going to build as a guest bedroom because in my mind, I wanted it to be like, you know, maybe these grandparents have a lot of grandkids and maybe they come at different times and, you know, not every kid can have their own room, but they have this little space. So I was building it as a guest bedroom at first, but then it kind of ends up looking more like a teen bedroom a little bit in the end. You guys can tell me what you think, but it looks a little bit less like a guest bedroom. So you can kind of change it up if you wanted to. But the bathroom's really simple. I don't feel like it needed to be anything too fancy. And so it's really simple, but it has all the necessities. And then this house is kind of, the floor plan's kind of weird. That's my fault. It's not the house's fault. But I kind of made the floor plan a little bit weird and cramped. And it's such a long house that the living areas are kind of cramped and small and everything else. And so you can see the living area right there. So we do have a TV and a couch and everything. And I really like the couch that came with the new pack. There was 2 of them, right? And so this is the one that I like. I don't really like the other one as much, but I think this is the couch, this little curved couch. I think I've seen a lot of people say they don't like this one, which is just, it's interesting just because that's my favorite one of the 2. I don't really like the other one very much, and I cannot make myself use it so far. But anyway, that little area that we just decorated was just kind of like an entryway area where you come in from the back door. And so I have these ottomans and stuff like that. It's really just to fill up space. And so I added some clutter and stuff like that. But now we're on to the kitchen. And listen, this is so bad. Okay, I built this whole floor plan, and half of this house I built without realizing that I hadn't opened up one of the walls. So I added this wall when I got to the backyard just to add something else to the back of the house. And normally when I go in to do floor plans, I delete all the walls and I just start with an open space. But for some reason, I completely didn't see this little bump out, I guess is what a lot of people call them. I didn't notice it at all. And so I'm just building the whole house, trying to figure out how I'm going to shove a kitchen into this house. I was starting to get pretty desperate. And then I realized that I have 4 tiles that are just hanging out, closed in, and my window was closed in and everything. And so that's so funny because I don't think I've ever done that before, but I had to kind of reposition configure everything. So I ended up moving that little fireplace over to where it's more right when you go down the hallway. And then I had more space for the kitchen. And now the kitchen is still extremely cramped. It's very, very small. It does have everything you need though, or that your Sims need. And so it's functional and everything's fine with it, but it is very small. And so I grabbed one of the new tables, which is big. It's kind of big. It's too big for the space. I thought about using just one of the like one tile tables because it would make more sense. But I thought, well, since I'm doing this for grandparents, if they have their grandkids over, you know, you would want a bigger table. But I didn't feel like if I put all 4 chairs that they would be functional. So what I did was I had this empty space kind of off to the side. So I put 2 of the chairs that I would normally put on the table. I kind of pushed them up against that wall. So I don't really know if that's helpful because they're not actually functional. It's more of a decorative kind of situation. But there is a little table outside as well, and then we all know that Sims like to sit on the couch when they eat as well, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But also, another thing about the kitchen, and I don't know if you guys noticed it, but the refrigerator I used was from the Growing Together pack, and I know I said in one of my last speed builds, I don't think I'll ever use that fridge, but then here I go using it. But I felt like it fit in with the vibe of the rest of the house. But anyway, I used that fridge, and as I placed it down, it was casting this massive shadow. And I'm hoping that's just some kind of glitch because it's a new pack and everything like that, because I could not get the shadow to go away and it looks terrible. So hopefully that will get fixed at some point. And I've never seen that before. So I'm assuming that it's something that's kind of going wrong with the new pack. But anyway, I also just noticed that I said fridge. And so I'm so sorry. I try my best to say refrigerator because I feel like that's what most people say. But just know, that's usually how I refer to refrigerators, if you ever hear me say that. I know that it's weird, and I try really hard not to, but I just realized that I messed up and did it anyway. But anyway, we're on to the main bedroom, so this is the grandparents' bedroom. Well, now we're done with it, but I basically wanted to use a lot of kind of clutter and books, and I don't know, I just really wanted it to look lived in. And I feel like when you have grandparents, you know, or you get to be a grandparent, then you're going to have a lot of stuff, you know, that you've gotten through the years, and you have different stuff that you want to display or whatever, you know. That might be a little bit of a stereotype, but I wanted this house to be really cluttered, and so I tried to do that with that bedroom. And I also tried to go for a little bit of a traveled vibe as well, like this couple maybe likes to travel and they have a bunch of that stuff, because I noticed that with the new pack we have a bunch of stuff that kind of references travel. Like we have those paintings and then those shelves as well. We have the suitcases and stuff. And so I don't know if like what the intention was for that, but I kind of feel like that's where I went with it, was maybe these particular grandparents like to travel and they have kind of all these souvenirs and stuff from their travels. But anyway, that's actually pretty much it for the build. This is the last bedroom that we're working on right now, so you can kind of see that it doesn't look as much like a guest bedroom as I intended for it to look. But that's pretty much it for this build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about it down below in the comments, because I always love hearing from you guys. But yeah, that's it for today. So I hope you're all doing well, and hopefully I will talk to you soon with another speed build.